If I'm an agency leader and I'm listening to this, what should I be looking out for that would make me think about, all right, I need this automated system? Every agency almost, or is there certain sectors or size that this really speaks to?
We have customers that are using their talent pool as a differentiation, as a unique value proposition. But I think digging into that and trying to figure out how you actually do operate differently in a way that creates real value is something that I think all agencies should be thinking about and doing. And for the ones that are, there's a bunch of use cases where it's working. There's people that are growing quite a bit in these down times, and they're doing it because they've spent time thinking about these things. Make sure that you have service excellence. Make sure that you're positioning yourself differently as you build your brand and you try to get to that next level. That's where you want to start thinking about how do you take it up a level.
David, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, look forward to really diving deep into referrals. It's something that is strong in my DNA in terms of partnerships and referrals, but certainly from a candidate and staffing point of view. And maybe let's start there. Just give us a quick elevator pitch on how staffing referrals came to be and what you do and what you offer.
Yeah, so the background on staffing referrals. So I was actually running a outsourced marketing firm, kind of a fractional CMO, inbound marketing firm. We were managing people's HubSpot and driving inbound leads. I was doing that for a couple staffing technology players as well as a few staffing firms as well. And I was getting from the staffing firms, one of them was $100 million in revenue, and they were giving us the same pressure I think everybody gets in marketing all the time. So how do we get a better ROI? How do we drive more leads? How do we get more placements? So I started looking at where were their placements coming from, and 25% of the placements for this $100 million firm were coming from referrals. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, what software are you using? How are you scaling your referral program? They all looked at me with a blank stare and like, well, we got this Excel spreadsheet and we talk about it a lot. And so I actually went out looking for software to buy and implement for staffing agencies. Realized at the time there's nothing in the space, and I started building this about 8 years ago, and I've been on it full time. Gosh, that's for almost 5 years now. And what we do is we help staffing firms reduce their dependency on job boards, so they can cut their job board spend. Simultaneously, they're going to drive higher quality candidates into their pipeline that stay on contract longer, and we do that with a handful of referral automation components. It just helps track, manage, and scale the referral program.
Awesome. And just given your experience, how often do you go into a staffing firm and again, they're doing it spreadsheets and mentioning it when they can versus more of an automated systematic approach?
The times are changing and it is becoming more digitized, but the staffing industry tends to be a little bit late to the party. I think I just saw a stat the other day that is over 56% of Fortune 500 companies have a digital referral program. In staffing, maybe 15% today. Wow. That said, it's every year it's growing, and it's in the next 3 to 5 years, the majority of staffing firms will have a digital referral program because it's like a kind of a guaranteed way to drive top line revenue and to get more talent that's higher quality. So I think we're moving in that direction, but as you know, the digitization of processes, things get kind of prioritized. And I think with the recent market trends with people focusing on clients, there's been a little bit of a slowdown momentarily.
So if I'm an agency leader and I'm listening to this, what should I be looking out for that would make me think about, all right, I need this automated, systemized? Is it every agency almost, or is it certain sectors or size that this really speaks to?
Yeah, actually, before thinking about do you need software, I actually think there's some important things to have in mind, which is are you referable? I've had people back in the day, I sold the software to them and it doesn't work. And then it's well, what's going on? What's your net promoter score? It's negative 20. Well, people hate you. You should focus on your product. If you have a high net promoter score, if you have people referring in, I think it's somewhere around 80% of staffing firms have a referral program today. So the majority of them have them. If it's going well and you have a good net promoter score, referral software is going to be an extremely fast ROI and have a huge impact on your business. Right. What we see a lot of is staffing firms say, they're like, it makes sense. You're like, oh, referral program's going well. It's not broken, so why would we fix it? And it's like, well, that's actually the opposite when it comes to automation. And I think people tend to look at how do we automate the things we're doing poorly. And the reality is you can get it a lot of times if it's something you do well and you want to scale it, automation is going to have an even higher ROI. So I would say there's size components, MPS components. If you're just starting out and under 10 recruiters or under maybe 2 or 3 offices, also maybe not necessary at that moment. But I think as you build your brand and you try to get to that next level, that's where you want to start thinking about how do you take it up a level.
Okay. So I've got a good net promoter score. I've got the size and scale to, take advantage of this. So then coming in with the automation and, to your point of it needs to be a program that's working hopefully reasonably well. What does that look like? What does a good, well-executed referral program look like, in your experience?
Now, there's 3 core elements to a referral program. There's the culture, the program itself, and then the process. The culture is what I just talked about, being referable, identifying those referable moments. The program, when we talk about that, we're usually talking about the structure of the program. How are what type of incentives are you giving? How are you giving those incentives out? It's really important to standardize the process. You want to make sure that everybody on your team can talk about it. Everybody knows about it. Your recruiters have talk tracks that align with how you're going to communicate it. One small tip for all of your listeners is most referral programs in the staffing world today are what we call a single-side referral bonus. And then if you look outside of the staffing world at every digital referral program out there, they're all what we call dual-sided referral programs. And what that means is you have a give and a get. So you actually give money to the applicant and the ambassador. When you have a dual-sided referral program in place, we see a 20% lift in referral placements. So it increases the likelihood of sharing. So when you think about the program kind of structure, that's one tip that you can take away. And then obviously there's the process, which is where you get into the what to automate, when to automate it, and how to automate it, and also how do you kind of digitize those components too.
Right. And in terms of that incentive part of the program, how easy is it to prove ROI on, if maybe it's a $2,000 payment for referrals and the conversion of that? How does that kind of shake down?
Yeah, one interesting thing, most people listening to this probably think that the more I pay, the more referrals I'm going to get, period. The bonus amount is less correlated with the outcomes than you might think. And it's more about the structure, the ease of access, and then there are thresholds depending on what vertical you're in. When we work with customers, a lot of times we're actually helping them reduce their spend on, they may be, a lot of times people overpay or they've created complexity in that variable and how they're paying it out. And we can actually say, look, you can do it at a lower rate. We're still going to get you the same outcome or better. And when it comes to the ROI, the one nice thing with referrals, the way that most people in the staffing industry structure them is you're always profitable. There's always an ROI because you don't pay it out until the hours have been worked, the days have been worked, the time is worked. So it's one of those things where if you're working with Indeed, Vivian, whatever the job board is, you're paying for that talent, period. If you get a start with Vivian, you're paying $1,000 and you're going to pay $1,000 if they quit 3 days in. With a referral, you don't pay that bonus out until typically in travel nursing, it'd be the end of 3 months. In light industrial, it might be 100, 120 hours work. So you're actually guaranteed profitability. And then for the people that don't make it the full stretch, that was a free placement. So it's actually, it's interesting when you start to really do the math on it, how impactful it can be.
And speaking of, impactful, can you share an example of a success story, agency life before staffing referrals and then life with staffing referrals?
Yeah. Actually, a fun story is, and just for those that are listening, we work in, largely healthcare staffing, travel nursing, locums, allied. And then we do a lot in the skilled trade, light industrial, construction staffing. Those are the two biggest use cases right now. But the one story that I thought was exceptionally cool because of the market challenges that we all exist within today. WSI is a company that came to us a couple of years ago where they said, look, we want to focus on referrals. We know we've done some analysis and we've identified that referral placements stay on contract longer, and quite a bit longer than the people that are coming from Indeed. So 2 years ago, they came to us, 17% of their placements were coming from referrals, that's actually a decent starting point. It's about average in the industry. They're now at 27% of their placements coming from referrals, and 2 years later. And the cool part is last year, their volume of placements was down 8% and their revenue was up 9%. So in a low volume low job order market, which we exist in today, if you're trying to figure out how do I grow, how can I grow, I'm not going to get enough job orders. One way to grow is to start being strategic with your sourcing and make sure you're putting talent on contract that is going to work more hours. And referrals tend to work more hours because they're going to work with a friend. A friend either said you should go work here, or they're going to work with a friend, which usually equates to longer time on contract, higher redeploy rates. So that's one area that one story that's super fun. And also it's actually been a shift in the last year. We're seeing a lot of people that we call it job board dependents. And we're seeing a lot of people that are like, how do I become less job board dependent and move into using more of the network that I've spent all these years building?
Makes total sense, doesn't it? In terms of you get that referral from the worker, there's more known elements that my referee can let me know about, and it's a matter of trust as well that I'm going into a place where I've had that referral, so makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even so I'm talking about the time on contract, but when you look at the placement rate as well, I mean, it's not surprising, but the people in our platform, we have customers that have over 55% of their placements coming from referrals, which if you think about that, that's your job board spend. But then on top of that, your operational cost because of the placement rate. So if you think about what you're spending to get somebody placed for job board hires, are usually 1% of the people that apply get placed. So how many interviews, how many resumes do you need to go through? People that are performing well are seeing a 25% placement rate. So about 25x what you're getting from a job board on that referral coming through.
Yeah, it speaks volumes, doesn't it, in terms of the quality and the, I guess almost like the efficiency of referrals.
Yeah.
So just looking forward, David, what trends around kind of placement rates or other technology or software do you think will be, should be in the minds of agency leaders and operators, and whether that's directly related to referrals or just the more general kind of industry trends and pressures?
Yeah, I mean, the staffing industry, invest more in digital marketing than you think you need to, because staffing has historically underinvested in it. And when you if you just zoom out and look at who's won the last 5 years in staffing, in healthcare anyways, it's pretty easy. I mean, you look at like an Aya, those guys were putting an unbelievable amount into their brand and their digital marketing, their digital strategy, programmatic advertising. And I think that the underinvestment in brand and marketing is something that holds agencies back. We all know that there's it's a mad rush on the tech front, and it's a really confusing space to be with all the AI tools coming on. But you do need to be smart with your tech stack. You need to be intelligent with your tech stack. And I think that is going to be having people that understand that and understand how to connect your AI with your overall technology play, and then making sure that ties into your brand story, and that you're building these great candidate journeys and also client journeys. I think that's the future and where things are going. And I think the role of, I think we're going to see more CMOs in staffing, and we're going to see more people moving in that direction as they realize how impactful it can be when you get it right.
which aligns so well with the referral mindset and value, doesn't it? In terms of it's about the awareness, it's about the brand integrity, both for the agency and for the end client as well. So yeah, building that trust and that awareness and affiliation within the space that you serve. And just
Absolutely.
going back to referrals, what is there a misconception or a maybe kind of misunderstanding of how referrals can be a bigger driver in agencies than perhaps some leaders believe so?
Yeah. I think one is some agency owners are like, we're going to get the referrals we're going to get, and that's just kind of what it is.
Right.
And I don't think that they realize that there's technology that's been proven. This isn't, I didn't make this up. I didn't make up referral software. Like, Dropbox, Airbnb, Uber, like those are what we modeled our platform off of. And these are proven practices to drive top line revenue outside of staffing that are just being brought into staffing. So I think the core misconception is we would have gotten those anyways, and the recruiters it's not going to have what's the change really going to be, but it can be pretty dramatic. What we usually see the customer starts working with us is typically year over year, a baseline of a 30% increase in referral placements from the previous year. And if you look at what that does to your job board spend, your quality of hire, it can be really impactful.
Yeah, well, I think we can all agree in terms of whether it's a restaurant or a vacation spot, getting referrals from trusted friends, family, colleagues, it's worth 10x of what you might find out on the interweb.
Yeah, I think almost everybody listening to this, I assume, I don't know if I've talked to anybody that hasn't gotten a job from a referral at some point. It's like
100%. Yeah.
So.
Yes. Amazing. Let's wrap up. I think we've got a few quick-fire questions just to finish up the episode. You talked earlier about your background in marketing. What's one marketing principle you think every staffing firm should live by?
I feel like right now I feel like there's a commoditization of all of the staffing agencies. They all look the same. They all show up the same. And I think that trying to stand out is really important. If you're trying to get job orders, why should I work with you? So I think that focusing on how are you different, the differentiation strategy, and trying to really define that, and not just in terms of like, oh, well, we talk about it this way. It's like, make sure that you have service excellence, make sure that you're positioning yourself differently, make sure that we have customers that are using their talent pool as a differentiation, as a unique value proposition. But I think digging into that and trying to figure out how you actually do operate differently in a way that creates real value is something that I think all agencies should be thinking about and doing. And for the ones that are, there's a bunch of use cases where it's working. There's people that are growing quite a bit in these down times, and they're doing it because they've spent time thinking about these things.
Now, I think it's in the tough markets where investing in that really pays dividends, right? When things are all good, it's when people feel like they've got more money to spend on these activities, whereas actually it's in the not so good times when actually that investment will pay off.
It's so funny because everybody pulls back on marketing in down times, right. and the ones that get it double down on marketing in hard times. They know it's like, now's when I grab share.
Yeah, mind share for sure.
Yeah, yep.
And talking mind share, is there a book or a podcast or kind of advice that you've had through your career that really stands out?
I mean, one book that is foundational. It's Influence by Cialdini. It's kind of why we are influenced to do the things we do. It's a professor of psychology who goes out and takes on sales roles and digs into the how does this work? Why do we change our mind? And I think everybody should read it, not just for work, but like it's a fun read. It will help you battle a salesperson later in life, become a better influencer. It's an impactful book. And then not work related, but one of my favorite authors of all time is Yuval Harari, Sapiens, Homo Deus, 21 Lessons. Like I think I've listened to his books a couple times. I think he's one of the just most strategic thinkers in the world, and I really appreciate how he talks about the history and how we got to where we are today.
Yeah. I've read not all of his books, but yeah, I've read a couple, and they are definitely thought-provoking.
Yeah. He's got interesting thoughts on AI. Sadly, they're not very optimistic. I've listened to a couple of his recent podcasts, and I'm like, I hope he's wrong.
Yeah. Hiding from the robots on the beach somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And Robert Cialdini, it's a classic, isn't it? And I think, psychology and influence, whether you're in the software business or a staffing business or any aspect of life, it's understanding how to communicate and create authentic influence as well. I think that's where it's not like a cheap sales trick. It's actually how do you get the best out of yourself and others.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, amazing. And David, just finally, where can people follow you, find out more about you, staffing referrals?
Yeah, you can look me up online. Go to staffingreferrals.com. Happy to connect, and really appreciate having me on the show. This was a great conversation.
Thanks, David, and thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks, Jason.
Bye.